some women have never experienced an orgasm.
So sex doesn't start on bed.
There's two schools of thought here, and people are going to come for me. I hate you for asking this question.
Is it necessary that we should get an orgasm?
Why is it such a taboo to talk about it when it's something that obviously affects a great part of our life? Why don't some people enjoy sex? How much sex is normal? How does sex affect your mental health and vice versa? Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Natalie Caitlin, a sexual and reproductive health doctor, and today we're discussing all things sex, but I'm not alone. Today I have my good friend and colleague with me, Eve.
Hi, girl.
So Eve just happens to be a psychologist, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. So, Musana, Eve, who are you? What do you do? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, my name is Eva Karimsaki. I'm a psychologist by profession, and I am in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So you're welcome to Tanzania. That is a good place.
Yeah,
You can ask Natalie. So I'm dealing with mental health and based on counseling. So I don't prescribe medications. I just talk.
So before we even get into anything, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, out of all the things to talk about, why did these two girls sit down and decide to talk about sex? Of all things, why are we talking about sex? What is sex? Scientifically speaking, according to Britannica, sexual intercourse is the reproductive act in which a male's reproductive organs enter the female reproductive organs, allowing sperm to fertilize an egg for the purpose of forming a new organism. So why are we talking about sex? We can't deny that sex is a very important part of our life. Sex itself is not a bad thing, I think. But I feel like where it's abused or not done within healthy boundaries, so to speak, that's where it can be bad. Because there's diseases, there's all of these things that go around sex, and there's a lot of things that affect sex and the way people have it. But I'm glad you're here because you get to speak on the psychological and the mental side and emotional side of sex. Sex releases endorphins, oxytocin, it reduces stress, boosts your mood. Some people say, and you're going to help me with this later, but sex is actually one of the leading cures, they say, for people that have like mental health issues, anxiety issues, depressive states. It improves sleep quality apparently as well, strengthens emotional bonds, like you said. And it can be a form of expression of love and communication, but I guess that is your sector and your side to deal with. And also the fact that sexual life, like a healthy sexual life, can contribute to confidence and self-esteem and like the way you look at yourself. So these are just a few reasons from the top of our heads as to why and how important sex is in our lives.
Yeah.
So not only for physical and mental health, but obviously for our relationships, intimacy, confidence, and self-improvement and image, as we said. So as a psychologist, how do you define sex? Or rather, what does sex involve psychologically?
Okay. According to psychology, it is not quite far away from what you define in a medical sense, but psychologically, it involves people's attractions and physically, emotionally, and mentally or psychologically. It involves that way because sex, it is always psychological. Someone attracted to you. Are you emotionally involved or invested to that person? Does the environment allow you to be attracted to that person? Does the environment influence you to have sexual arousement so that you can be able to perform that kind of act? So basically, psychologically, sex depends on those things: environment, physical attractions, emotions, and all that involved with the person, likeness, and wants.
That is so interesting because I think our generation has this notion, yeah, kwamba, especially like girls, I think I'm speaking from a female perspective, we have this ideology that, or maybe even guys, that they don't really have to be attracted to someone to have sex with them. As a psychologist, what do you think of that? Is it true that guys don't necessarily have to be attracted to a girl to have sex with them, or is there a psychological issue behind that guy for him to be able to even have sex with someone he's not attracted to? Does that mean that there's an issue there?
To be honest, there is no such thing. It's either you have been attracted to certain kind of thing, but it is not permanent. Maybe you just like the way that person morphology is. Maybe you just like the color. Maybe you're attracted to the hairstyle or the makeup or the dress or something.
So there has to be
something behind
exactly
that makes you arouse. Because the moment you are not attracted to that person, even your brain won't be able to bring those kinds of thoughts and perception and everything that including attraction, so that you can be aroused to sex. So they must have something. You cannot just do sex with anybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so why do you think our community shies away from talking about sex? I already know. Like, we have not even gotten into the essence of this video, but I'm like in the back of my mind, Yani now go back. I am just so scared.
Like Africa.
Like I'm just like this African creature is going to come for us. I don't know, but I think there's so much to talk about. But why do you think it's like that? Why is our community so shy? Or I don't know if it's shyness or whatever it is. Why is it such a taboo to talk about it when it's something that obviously affects a great part of our life? And people have sex every day, all day. You know, it's important in our life, obviously.
On my perception, most of our cultures does not prefer talking about this in an open space because they're trying to protect most of your youth, because the moment ambayo wataweza kutoa that education to people and use it in a way kwamba itakuwa ni appropriate, then ndo tunapata this kind of damages ambazo zinaokaa in our current societies, kama rape, kama doing unprotected sex, ambazo zinaleta magonjwa. Mwingine anakuwa hana elimu ya sex, kwa hiyo through social media ambazo zimekuja, the technology effects zinawapa watu wrong information regarding sex. Kwa hiyo inakuwa inatumika kwa namna ambayo it is destroying the community instead of building the community. That's why mimi nikafikiria kwamba most of our society ya Kiafrika, they cannot talk it in an open manner. They wanted to just keep it just for a family purpose and not otherwise.
Don't we think that that's all the more reason why we should actually talk about it and educate? Because I'm sure we've seen how not talking about it has damaged it, and people now are normal. But for me, honestly, I think it's more about education and awareness, because while sex is good, when it's not done within the right boundaries, like you said, it has been abused and it can be dangerous. Why is that so? Because consent is very important. We talked about rape. Consent is very important. If we don't teach people about consent, they don't know. And the rape cases increase. Unplanned pregnancies, we end up having abortions, and unfortunately, people don't practice them safely because, again, they're scared to come to the hospital and seek help. So we end up with young girls dying, or they end up with complications. Diseases arise when sex hasn't been practiced properly. You talked about STIs, which is very true, but there's even other things. Cancers also arise just because sex hasn't been practiced properly. Discomfort, I talked about pain. People have pain and they don't know that that's not normal. And some people have actually had bad experiences with sex and they don't enjoy it and they don't want to have it, all because they haven't been taught, like, okay, what is normal, what is good, what is expected, and all of that. And that's why I think for me it's important that we talk about sex.
So what are the factors that are affecting sex medically, and are there any other reasons that can make somebody not enjoy sex at all?
Yeah, actually, from the top of my head, there's several things, and these are the things that I was saying. People don't even know that this is actually a medical condition. So pain, any pain that is associated with sex, generally we call it dyspareunia, and it can be categorized or classified rather into superficial, which is whether it, for women that is, whether it happens outside, like the vagina, like the vulva, the area outside that you see and touch. And then deep dyspareunia, as an inside, you feel the pain like tumboni, kwandani, that is deep. There's a condition called vaginismus, which is basically when the muscles, the pelvic floor muscles around the pelvic area, they just tense up and contract involuntarily. I mean, this is not something that they do by themselves, and they can't control it. So they just contract by themselves, and a finger, a tampon, nothing can go in because it's excruciatingly painful. Other people have vulvodynia, which is where like the vulva area outside is just painful. It burns. It's itchy. It just you can't do anything in that area. Other people have endometriosis, which can cause really bad pain during sex. Other people have fibroids, cysts. There's hormone imbalances as well that can cause people to be drier than normal. So maskini mtu anakuwa anajua mbona I'm just dry all the time, and maybe the guy is putting in all the effort that he needs to put in, but the girl is just not responsive to that because it's not even her fault. Like mentally she's aroused and stimulated, but her hormones won't let her reach that point. So people like that obviously end up having pain as well and discomfort because for sex to happen naturally and to be enjoyable, it shouldn't be dry, right? PID and infections as well, things like vaginitis. All these things affect the quality of sex that we're going to have for women. And for men, there's things like erectile dysfunction, which is where maybe the guy can't control or keep up an erection for long enough. And there's so many reasons for that: stress as well, hormonal issues as well. Sometimes not even that they don't enjoy it, but they just don't feel like having it. And even though psychologically you can look at this from a point of maybe they're not aroused or stimulated or the attraction is not there, but some people also hormonal issues as well can also lead to low libido and sex drive. And so these are things that commonly I see every day, and people think it's normal, but actually it's not. There's usually an underlying reason as to why you're not enjoying sex as you should. When you take away stress, environmental factors, and relationship problems, then you can know that, okay, there's an underlying issue here. So these are the medical conditions that I can kind of think of at the top of my head that can affect the outcome of sex and how enjoyable or not enjoyable it is. But I think you're in a better position to educate us on the psychological aspect of things. And I guess this is actually the essence of the video. What are some of the psychological and mental issues that affect sex?
First is abuse. Most of people, they have undergone abuse. Maybe they've been raped when they're younger. And another thing is some of them, they were told that sex is not good for them. It's just good for men. As I told you, I was explaining that there is a lot of cultures which they teach that to most of girls. So the girls automatically they're creating this kind of environment where they feel like it is not for me.
Yeah.
So they don't develop any arousal during sex.
It feels more like a duty kind of thing, something that they have to do.
Yeah. So automatically they will feel pain. Automatically they won't be wet because they'll feel like I'm going to do my job.
And so does that mean that emotional connection is not there for them?
Okay. Another psychological issue is stress, mental illness.
Oh yeah.
Some of people who are undergoing through mental illness, they won't be able to enjoy sex. Or another funny thing is that some of them they develop high sexual drive when they're
to overcome the stress. They're
pushing it too.
So kind of how some people lean towards alcohol or drugs,
some other they lean into sex. So it is all about they have this perception that it is the only thing that will make my emotions to calm down. It's a psychological thing. So they have developed a perception into their mind that has turned into behavior, has turned into a way that a mind will be waiting for the action to be done so that they can respond into pleasure.
So it's like a coping mechanism.
Exactly, a coping mechanism. So this kind of acts have been affecting their sexual life because they won't be able to do sex with the one they love because that sex is not intimate sex. It's not a good sex. It's the sex so that they can be able to reduce the tension that they're going through. And
And it doesn't really deal with the problem, does it?
It doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't deal with the problem, because after that, that person may feel awkward, may feel regret.
Yeah,
That's
and maybe even shame.
it can
as well.
create. It does create another problem. So some of the people, they don't have education, or they don't know how to manage their problem in a manner that it is healthy for themselves, but healthy for their mental health.
That's so interesting. You touched on the intimacy of relationships and that. How important is sex in relationships?
Sex is very, 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 very important in the relationship, because it is strengthen the bond that two people have in a relationship, and also it is the way that a person might feel, especially in communicating regarding something. Because whenever sex, I don't know what would keep in that, what would really keep in that, that it serves a lot, because it gives a person sense of confidence, sense of belonging to that person. It gives peace, happiness, especially when it is done in a rightful way. It enables the person to feel confident about themselves, especially when both of them, they are satisfied. They reach the level of satisfaction that they're both happy. And another thing is that it helps in understanding your partner's needs, especially into sexual relationship, because the moment you do sex and you find that your partner is not able to make you reach to the point of satisfaction, or you reaching to a first point where you will be able to satisfy your partner, there is where you'll be able to understand him better. Because most of us, especially Africans, we are so hard into opening up this kind of conversations. So with that sex now, it will help you, but it will enable you to understand, even if they won't talk, but you can see through the words.
So it's basically a way of like express. I was gonna say it's a way of expressing yourself and communicating with your partner without actually saying anything. That is so interesting and so beautiful, actually.
And so he'll be able to see that you're happy, you're sad, there's something is bothering you, because whenever you have stress, automatically you won't be able to enjoy anything.
Yeah, and actually, there's this saying that there's a healthy sex glow that women have.
Exactly.
When they come to work at in the morning.
Even
even then,
have you ever encountered any cases where sex has been so bad?
Yeah, actually, and I mean, this is my daily bread, I guess. There's a couple of things that can make sex become bad or unbearable or not enjoyable anymore, other than the things that I already mentioned that make sex painful and uncomfortable, but libido and issues with orgasms. So some women have never experienced an orgasm.
Ah, that's interesting. And it just came into my mind where, is it like necessary that we should get an orgasm?
I mean, so we say that guys, obviously, for sex to be complete, a guy has to ejaculate. That's what we typically say. But studies say that women don't always have an orgasm. But where a woman has never had an orgasm, she doesn't even know, like when people talk about orgasm, she has no idea what they're talking about. There might be an underlying issue there. And people don't realize this, but you should be able to reach that point of like, I don't know what to say, like satisfaction. High satisfaction.
I know that I have satisfied, because with the man ejaculates, you can see sperms. That is where you can say that that's his endpoint. So as a woman, like, how will I know that I have ejaculated and have been satisfied?
So there's two schools of thought here, and people are going to come for me, and I don't even know. I hate you for asking this question. But so there's the school of thought that say a woman has to squirt. When you go and read what squirt is and where it actually comes from, squirt is made up of urine. So what is it pee? Is it
Yes.
So does that mean that every time you have to say you must pee? No.
Mhm.
But what does happen is that when that area is stimulated and it compresses the bladder and the other organs around the area, the pelvic region, then things can get released. That's fine. That's okay. But also there's like a feeling that that comes. I don't. I hate you for asking me this question. But there's a feeling that people get that just like the climax, then I guess you can say, where it's like a heightened feeling of pleasure that is not the same as the pleasure that they experienced throughout the rest of the sexual experience that they were having. So those are the two things that can tell you, like, okay, this one has, reached that point, or they haven't. So there's those that squirt. Not everyone squirts, and you don't have to feel pressure to, because it's not something that everyone can do physiologically. But other things that make sex bad as time goes, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if other people probably don't know. Breastfeeding. During breastfeeding, sex can be bad because the hormonal shift that happens during that period of breastfeeding, your estrogen is a bit low. And so when estrogen is low, you're drier than normal. So sex can actually be a lot more uncomfortable. But also women with hormonal imbalances that have really low estrogen, or maybe some people with PCOS, when the hormones are not really balanced, there might be some discomfort there. But also as women grow older, when they reach menopause, sex becomes totally uncomfortable at some point because of that major shift in the hormones.
Okay.
And this is something that everyone's like, yeah, it's normal, you stop enjoying sex when you're 50, but it doesn't have to be that way. There's things that you can do. There's creams you can use, there's medication you can use. There's so much, and even like other things other than like medical treatments, even psychological treatments and behavioral treatments and cognitive therapy that you can use to combat and overcome that discomfort that you experience at that stage. But obviously, if you have an underlying hormonal issue, you should get it checked out if you feel like it's now become so bad that it's disrupting your sex life. So a question I get all the time is, how much sex is too much? I always answer this from a perspective of, as long as it's not interrupting your day-to-day life. And because people differ, obviously. There's people that can go 3 months and they're fine, they're okay. Some person wants it every week. Some people, they want it every day. Some want you to come to work at lunch so that we can have a quickie and then we go back to. So everyone has different, but what do you think is too much, as from a psychological standpoint? Because I assume that when sex now becomes so much, like I think earlier you were saying something along the lines of these people that make it now a coping mechanism. That is one of the examples. For example, we can now say it's now too much. But how do you get to a point of too much, and what is too much?
In that point of view, in psychological point of view, is that sex, it depends with how you perceive it. Yes, so I say it's a psychological thing. So how did you perceive it? How did your environment taught you how sex it is? How does your emotions being involved in that sex? And genetically, do you have a high libido or low libido? That goes with in the health matters. So there is no too much sex or less sex, but it comes when there is challenges, where there is, you can make that person uncomfortable. It interrupts with your daily activities. It interrupts with your healthy stability of life, and also a mental state, as I would say. So in this perspective, too much sex or less sex, it depends with the circumstances and how do you do it, and how does that person takes it or perceive it. Because some of the people perceive sex, you have just to put your dick inside the vagina and remove it. That is how they perceive sex. So with your partner, how much do you talk about your perception regarding sex and how to do it? Because some people, they think that, just bring me flowers, just do act of service, just give me good words, just do something nice. There is where
that's enough.
That's enough. You're not supposed. It is not important just to do like sexual intercourse every day. You can just do something romantically. That is where I'll be arousal and I'll be happy, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
But another person may think that you're not just supposed to give me flowers. You have to maybe to have sex with me for 2 hours so that I can be okay. Or you have to, I have my places where you can touch, you can lick, you can do anything. That foreplay, everybody has his own foreplays. I mean, where parts where there be arousals and everything. So it is all about how you perceive it, how you take it, how you understand it, and how do you embrace it.
Yeah.
There is where you know that this is too much for me or this is not enough for me.
So I think I've made it clear that sex is actually affected by a lot of medical factors. I guess perhaps moving totally from the medical side, and as we reach kind of a conclusion, mental wise and mental health wise, I should say, and psychological wise, what are some things that affect the quality of sex, and vice versa? How does sex affect someone's mental health?
Okay. Mental health can affect sex in a way that a person may distance himself or herself in a relationship. Maybe he has depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. She or he can detach himself away from that person. Maybe he's not willing to communicate with things. He feels shy. He doesn't feel safe around you. And also sex can affect mental health in a manner that it is the same. Because when a person doesn't become intimate with you through sex, you won't be able to have that closure. So that can build a bond that will last a long time even within that relationship, because everyone will just part ways and find their own things to do. So basically, sex is very important for both our mental health and our physical health.
So you're saying basically that sex has the ability to increase my self-esteem, but also to decrease it, depending on how I'm having it, how I'm not having it.
Exactly.
And at the same time, my self-esteem can also affect the sex that I'm having.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like that's so interesting, because I think as a generation, we generally take sex so lightly.
Yeah.
We don't realize how much of an effect it actually has on our lives, and especially our future.
And the effect comes on how do you communicate it.
Yeah.
Because when you can't an instance where you have been doing sex with your partner, then you are not happy about it. And that person come and say, but you don't do this for me, you don't do that for me. What kind of man are you? So the way that you have communicated with that person plays a major role in either make him have a high self-esteem during sex or lower self-esteem, or you can, some people, they cannot take it, so you'll be just making them like they will never and ever be confident on the same with anyone else because of that negative comment that you have made. So it is your duty to understand, how am I supposed to communicate something intimate, especially with sex, because it's a very sensitive to both men and women. And you have to understand on what kind of role or area will I stand that I can be able to fix this and be able to enjoy myself with my partner.
I feel like so much time. I think it's been almost an hour just talking about this, and I still feel like there's so much more that we can go further into and deeper into. But what is your takeaway message and your take-home message, I guess, on the topic of sex and mental health?
Okay. My take-home message to everyone in the world regarding sex is, with partners, I know only partners are doing sex.
Yeah,
that's what I will. let's assume. Yeah. So sex doesn't start on bed. Yeah. It doesn't start where you just come home, remove your clothes, climbing on the bed and
Yeah.
start doing sex. No, it starts in the morning. Not as in morning sex, no, as in how did you wake up with your spouse in the morning? How are you communicating?
How did you make me feel? How did
Exactly
you
from the
talk to
morning?
me?
How do you talk me through it the
That
day?
is so beautiful. That is an
Yeah.
amazing takeaway. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
How do you communicating throughout the day?
Mhm.
How do you guys being able to? Are you guys just talking just normal things like your responsibility? How you guys
Yeah.
complimenting each other? Are you guys appreciating each other throughout the day?
Mhm.
Are you guys some of them have some little dirty talks regarding sexual?
Because don't just
Yeah.
spend your day yelling and doing whatever and then come home expecting
someone to
legs
just
open and that. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So how do you spend your day with your spouse? So
Mhm.
what do you actually talk to your spouse throughout the day?
Mhm.
So that is where it can make sex way more good and perfect and sweet, and it will be way more suitable for both of you. And it makes that easy because that person will automatically keep you in your head.
Yeah.
You will just feel like, I can say this, you can feel wet before you even get at home.
Yeah.
Because you'll be aroused with good emotions. You'll be
Yeah.
aroused
And
with,
you're just happy
you'll
and
be-
receptive of the person in general.
exactly. So the moment you reach at home is where there is a final act.
Yeah. The conclusion, the
Exactly.
summation of the day.
So we're gonna start from the bed, starting with how you make your partner's day be and how do you communicate and what do you communicate throughout.
Wow, I love that. I love that so much. I think I agree absolutely. I think for me, just to add on, I love that takeaway message. I don't think I have much to add other than the fact that let's practice it in healthy bounds. Stick to that one person that you chose because there's STIs out there, there's cancers out there that are caused by STIs. STIs also affect fertility. A lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of people struggle to get pregnant in the future because of STIs and multiple abortions and kunywa pitu kila siku, things that could have been avoided had they practiced sex in a safe way. If you feel like you guys are not in a position to get pregnant now, there's so many contraceptive options available, and I talk about this on my page all the time. I think I even have it in my highlights. Yeah, I think I think also another important thing is that we need to encourage conversations about these things because I feel like education and awareness will go a long way in reducing the infertility rates, reducing the abortion rates, reducing the STI rates, rape rates, even just maternal mortality rates, girls dying because of unhealthy practices and stuff. So thank you so much for coming, Eve. I had an amazing time. I really enjoyed this discussion that we just had, and I hope we can continue it in the near future, sooner than later. But in the meantime, where can people find you?
My handles on social medias are Eve Psychologist on Instagram. In TikTok, I'm also there as Eve Psychologist, the same name, or Eva Psyche. Also in my YouTube channels as Eva Psyche.
Okay, I think I'm just going to leave your links and everything in the description box and at the bottom of the video. Yeah.
So do not hesitate to come for consultation. I do pay all online consultations for mental health. So it is better to know your state of mind and keep your mind very good, because the moment it is you destroy your mental health, even your doctor cannot do anything. You won't be able to respond to those medications.
Do you do
that she'll be keeping.
Sorry, Katisha, do you do consultations like with people abroad, not just in Tanzania, but wherever in the world you can?
Yes, I do. Yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah, international calls. So just do not hesitate, and I will give you a session.
Okay. So you guys heard, you can reach out to her anytime, any place. She is readily available for you guys. And I will link all her social media handles in the description below, and I'll also leave them on the screen so that you guys can easily find her. But yeah, do you guys have any further questions about mental health, sexual and reproductive health? Leave them in the comment section below. I did recently put up an anonymous link on my bio in my highlights if you guys have questions and you don't want to reveal your identity to either to me or to anyone else. So I also don't get to see who you are. So you can always just open up that link. And every week on my Instagram page currently, we're answering sexual and reproductive questions. So if you guys have anything you want to ask, any issues that you have, you can post there. I'm not giving medical advice, obviously, online, but I am answering questions and awareness, and I can recommend and refer you to a place where you can get help if you need it. Yeah, give us suggestions on videos and topics you guys want to see us discuss in the comment section. And until then, we will see you in our next video. Like this video, leave a comment, share it with all your friends, and
Do not forget to subscribe at TheStylishMed.
and at Eve Psychologist. Yeah, bye guys.
Bye.